And this one is, I think, inspired by the first council of war. There were many that Lincoln had with General Grant. He appointed General Grant the commanding general of all Union armies without ever having met him. He arrived in Washington in April 1864 to get his new stars and to have a reception at the White House, in which he was so thronged that he had to jump on a couch in order for people to see him. He was a short fellow. And he met Secretary of War Stanton, and they bonded and made plans. As Lincoln said, his advice to Grant was chew and choke. Hold on with a bulldog grip. There were all sorts of these tough metaphors and suggestions. So after Lincoln's death, Stanton suggested that their first councils of war be immortalized, and the result was this group. Robert Lincoln, Lincoln's sole surviving son, thought this was the best sculpted likeness of his father that was ever created anywhere.
Yeah, it's a very high compliment considering how many likenesses were created of Lincoln during this time and in the years following. And Rogers took his work as a portraitist very seriously, and that's something that I think goes a little bit unsung. He visited both Grant and Stanton to take measurements, to get to know them, to get to know their faces, and of course he worked from photographs for Lincoln. And I think it was always a challenge for an artist to figure out how to show Lincoln's lanky frame in a way that befits his dignity. And I think Rogers was pretty successful. And one of the things I think is so remarkable about this group is this comes after the war. And this is a period when people are starting to process the war and think about what it means to them. And there are lots of plans for memorials. And I like to think about this as sort of a memorial in miniature that you can have in your own home.
I find it interesting that usually in images that show Lincoln in the center of a group, all eyes are on Lincoln. But I think in this way, Grant is looking at his immediate superior, the Secretary of War. Stanton is sort of contemplating his glasses. It's almost as if Lincoln has emerged as such a mythic figure. He's not in the same category as those who are attending him. Yeah, and I think what might have otherwise not worked with another president, a living president, works well with the knowledge that Lincoln is destined to be martyred for the cause that all three of these people are fighting for.